Well, hello and welcome to another very special edition of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Greene, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel. Thank you so much for your time today. You know, as our show On Deck with Avoya quickly approaches its 2-year anniversary, we just want to continue to show our appreciation and gratitude for those that have helped us reach this milestone. And at the very top of that list is you. Yeah, you, because if you don't take time to watch, if you don't take time to engage, if you don't get excited about being a travel advisor in this amazing industry, then really we have nothing with our show. So thank you so much for your time. Now, I said another special edition today, and I promise I'm not just throwing out the word special for nothing. We have one of my favorite people in the travel industry as our special guest today, someone who I always make time to listen to if he's on a panel or giving a keynote presentation. Co-owner of AmaWaterways, Gary Murphy, is our featured Meet the Industry guest today. Gary, amazing. I was going to list off all of his accolades, but we're going to forget that because he's trying to make a plane. So we're going to get to the Q&A here really quick in just a second. But before we do that, of course, we're going to do our Eye on the Industry feature. It's real abbreviated today. We've got a couple of stories, one about the newest sports craze, one about Day of the Dead, and then Avoya won a whole bunch of awards we're going to brag for just a second. So let's kick it off right now. Today's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. We're going to start with just a few fun stories. One from Travel Weekly. The Carnival Conquest is joining America's latest sports craze by introducing a permanent pickleball court. Yeah, the court was added to the ship's top deck while in dry dock in September. The Conquest resumed sailing the Caribbean in October 10th for their first sailing. And for those of you unaware of this new craze, pickleball weaves together elements of tennis and badminton, ping pong. It uses a perforated hollow ball and solid face paddles. And although the game's been around for decades, its popularity is surging. Trust me, I live in Florida. Surging is the right word. So Carnival said the Conquest is the first ship with a permanent pickleball court. Of course, other ships have tennis courts. Not that hard to convert, but still pretty great way to burn off that second breakfast on a cruise. All right, Day of the Dead is big news in Mexico. How big? $1.8 billion in expected revenue. That's a big surge for both domestic and international travel taking part in the festivities. And according to Mexico's Secretary of Tourism, Miguel Torruco Marquez, the arrival of 2.1 million tourists to hotels is expected through November 2nd. And that's going to have a big impact, $190 million, which would give them a 95% recovery rate from 2019. And finally, the person that builds the trophy case at Avoya Travel never gets a day off. They have their hands full again after Avoya Travel takes home 4 prestigious Magellan Awards. In a press release this week, it was announced that Avoya Travel won 4, one for evolution of live leads. The Avoya Live Lead program just gets better and better and better. Smart leads, business intelligence, appointment leads, connecting our affiliates with clients at the time the clients want to talk about buying travel, lead scoring, just amazing. We won a Magellan for the Avoya Traveler e-magazine. We featured Margot Jones and her amazing creative services team before here at On Deck with Avoya. So congratulations to them for that great win. The Avoya Travel blog, a well-deserved win after a huge overhaul in late 2021. And the Avoya Immersion events. And now beginning in 2022, Avoya Travel created a series of immersion events to immerse the Avoya network in a specific brand product. Academies, boot camps, immersive FAMs, combining education with experience boosts knowledge and confidence, thus helping attendees expand their product selling expertise and become an extension of that supplier's brand. Now, we did that really quick, and we're going to drop a link to the full press release about Avoya Travel and the 4 Magellan Awards, because it really is vital information if you're thinking about joining the network, and we're going to do that here in the comment section today. Now, being the industry leader, let me tell you, it's kind of fun, certainly fun to brag about. And that certainly provides us with a great segue to today's featured Q&A segment, because today's special guest knows all about being an industry leader in various aspects of the travel industry. Land and tour, check. River cruise, check. Air, check. Now, throughout his storied career, Gary Murphy has worked with so many great brands, helping them achieve amazing results, including spending the last decade plus with the brand that his father, Jimmy Murphy, co-founded with Rudy Schreiner and Kristen Karst. In 2002, we're talking AmaWaterways. So please, let's welcome our featured Meet the Industry guest this week for On Deck with Avoya, Gary Murphy. Gary, so great to have you on the show.
Well, Chris, I wish I was in my office, but I'm here at Goleta Beach, a mile away from Santa Barbara Airport because I have a flight I'm going to be catching, as we discussed earlier. But thanks for this opportunity, and thank you, Avoya. I mean, we've been working together. I mean, so many years. I remember working with the Andersons when I lived in San Diego in the 80s. So it's been a while.
Yeah, that's a fantastic legacy relationship for sure. Gary, before we jump into the main part of our Q&A, how about just a quick recap on you for those that don't know? Now, I know earlier this year, you kind of stepped back from your role as Senior Vice President of Sales with AmaWaterways, spend a little bit more time with the family. So I'm curious to know, how's that going? And has it been the breath of fresh air that you've hoped it would be?
Well, it went really well for a couple months, Chris. And, you know, I decided to step back to spend more time with my family. You know, you hear everyone saying that, you know, especially executives when they get to my age. But when I discovered Chris is, you know, the team at Avoya, the people I work with are also very much my family. So I've come back, and I'm coming back at a different role. Well, I'll be working with, you know, the team at Avoya. I'll be working with special accounts, certain accounts, but Alex Pinella is still Senior Vice President of Sales. He took my position. But being a co-owner of the company, it's very difficult to step away. I enjoy what I do. So you'll be seeing more of me. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, Chris, that's up to you guys.
Trust me, from an industry standpoint, Gary, that is 1000% a great thing for all of us involved in leisure travel. So great to have you back in the game. Could you maybe share with our audience today, because we have so many people that watch our show that are new to the industry, maybe a little bit about your background in the travel industry and a little bit about your family history in the travel industry as well?
Gosh, how much time we have, Chris. So my father started a company back in 1969 called Brendan Tours. Out of college, I worked for IBM, and I had an opportunity to go work for Globus in Lugano, Switzerland, and then in London. And since when the gentleman from Globus asked my father, why isn't your son working for you? He said, oh, he can make his mistakes on somebody else's time. So he hired me, and I worked over there. Then I think my mom was concerned I wasn't going to come back, so Dad hired me. I chose my territory, San Diego and the West Coast, for Brendan. I eventually rose to the ranks. Then I was offered a job by these guys starting up an airline in Florida in '93 called Miami Air. I was vice president of marketing and sales there. We ended up with 6 jets, 737s. I left there to come back and run Brendan Tours as president. I ran that until 2009. We launched AMA in 2002, where Brendan was the core account. And then we sold Brendan in 2006, and I stayed on for another 3 years as per my contract, and then came across and joined Rudy and Christine at AMA. And it's been a wonderful ride ever since. With AMA, we had a very pragmatic approach on building our business, Chris. We'd had 1 ship a year, maybe 2. Now we're up to 25. We like to grow from within. Like we'd take crew from different ships, put them on the new ship, and then sprinkle in the newbies amongst the other ships so they can understand our culture. It's been a pragmatic approach, and thankfully it worked. And Chris, and having that approach going into the pandemic with no debt made it easier to ride through these last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Absolutely. You know, Gary, having spent so many years working in various capacities in the travel industry, what was it about the river cruise segment that's really grabbed your attention for the last decade?
Well, when we got into river cruising, Brendan started selling UniWorld, then we started selling Viking, and then we said, let's do it ourselves. We thought it was a perfect travel experience for the coach client. We were selling bus tours or coach tours, because on a river cruise, you're not unpacking and packing every day, and you're staying in the best location on the river in these towns, because these towns grew from the banks of the river. So you're docked in these historic areas. And we saw that it was at the very bottom of the growth curve. So we said, let's get into river cruising. And we're so glad we did, because it is a fantastic travel experience. If anyone hasn't river cruised or you want to go on another one, I'm hosting a fam on December 1. Reach out to Jessica or myself, and I'll send you an invite. Best cabin available. It's going to be a fantastic trip. The Alma Christina on the Rhone, December 1st.
That's amazing. You know, Gary, I remember being at the Cruise Hall of Fame dinner the night that Rudy was inducted, and just being blown away by him, not only as a person, but by the fact that just as they were telling the story about AMA, that he was a company that was kind of literally inventing the modern cruise, river cruise as we spoke. I mean, you must be really proud of everything that's been accomplished there.
Well, what's interesting is that we developed a relationship with Rudy when he was at UniWorld. He put together the European program for UniWorld. Then he was hired away from UniWorld by Tor Hagen to put the program together for Viking. And since we're selling so much of both in partnership with you guys at Avoya, that we said, let's start our own. And Rudy, being, many call him the godfather of river cruising. It's also interesting, if you see UniWorld, Viking, and our office in Calabasas, we're less than 5 miles apart from each other. And that's because that's where Rudy lives. He actually lives out in Westlake and has a home in Malibu. But it's like the nucleus of the river cruising business, this little area here.
That one picture of him, what was it like on the Amazon that's been shown time and time again when they reference that godfather of the cruising industry? A lot of good mileage came from that photo, hasn't it?
Yes, it was. He was doing research for his part of the university program in Vienna, and he built a raft and sailed down the Amazon. Pretty crazy.
Pretty amazing stuff. Gary, when you look at the future of AmaWaterways, any exciting things that you can share with us today that's coming up?
Well, we're adding another ship on the Nile. The Nile is selling extremely well. I wish we put a ship there a long time ago, but it thankfully is selling very, very well. Rudy has been spending a lot of time down on the Magdalena River in Colombia, and we're putting 2 ships on the Magdalena in Colombia, and we'll be launching those in 2024. Brand new destination. We'll be first doing river cruises in that part of the world, and it's just exciting to develop it.
Yeah, that sounds unbelievable. I always try to take a positive tone here at On Deck with Avoya, but we like to be realistic as well as being positive. When you look forward, specifically in the river cruise segment, what are some of the challenges that need to be addressed? And on the flip side of that, what are some of the areas of just amazing potential growth that you see on top of what you just mentioned, like South America?
Well, you know what, Chris, when CNN came out that covered that story about the rivers going dry in Europe, that was for 1 week. It impacted 2 of our departures. The rivers are flowing beautifully, and it's just a challenge. It seems that becomes a topic of conversation, is low water. And yes, we have a challenge, it seems like every 5 years, but we manage it very, very well. But when ocean cruisers have to deviate because of a hurricane or weather, that's never picked up. I don't know why the news wants to come after us for water levels. And, thankfully, everything's cruising well. I think one of the challenges may be, just finding new rivers. We've looked at rivers in India. We've looked at where, used to do Russia. We pulled out of Russia. We were on the Irrawaddy River, and we pulled out of that. So, it's just going and exploring new rivers, but also there's so many different opportunities in Europe with different waterways that we can actually navigate on. And so we're looking at those. But right now, we got enough on our plate, I think, with Colombia, additional ship on the Nile. Chris, over COVID, we expanded our inventory by 37%, which is considerable. When most people stopped building, we continued building. So we have a lot of capacity next year that we need to fill, and hopefully you'll be a very important, not hopefully, you are a very important part of that, to getting the information out. It's just getting our travel advisor partners on the ships too, so they can experience what river cruising is all about. And once they understand the nuances, they can be that much more effective in closing those sales. If you took all the river ships in Europe and put them all together, and you look at the size of the ocean going market, you would see the potential that we have. And people will say, oh, what about docking facilities? They're building more docks. We're finding more, interesting towns to stop in. And I just hope the travel advisor and the travelers open to these new towns that we're stopping in. It's because, people look and, oh, I had a friend that went there. I would like to go there. There's all these beautiful secondary stops that we're introducing clients, and they're actually preferring those over some more well-known historic spots. So there is opportunity. We'll take a very pragmatic approach to it, 1 or 2 ships a year, and keeping our service levels up and delivering and meeting your clients' expectations. That's what we're all about at AMA.
Gary Murphy, co-owner of AmaWaterways, is our featured Meet the Industry guest today for On Deck with Avoya. And what a wonderful moment for our show to have such a high-profile guest as Gary join us for this exclusive Q&A. Gary, I think we all understand that relationships are so powerful in this industry, but from your perspective and your years in the industry, why are relationships just so vital to the travel business?
I believe because we all have pride in what we do, and I would never want to let Jeff or Mike down, right? Because they're my friends and we have a relationship, and I can be completely open with them and tell them this is, warts and all, this is what we're doing, this is how it works. And through that openness, you have a better understanding of what we both feel in delivering the travel experience. Chris, we've always focused on distributing our product through our travel advisor partners because we believe that's the best way to deliver the product and ensure that we're putting the right guest on an AMA ship. And through relationships, we have that understanding. There's a trust involved, and it just seems to work. I know I can get in touch with Jeff or Mike any hour of the day, and they know they can get in touch with me.
It's amazing how it boils down to something that simple. I mean, we're talking about people that are running companies with, hundreds of millions of dollars a year in sales, but at the same time, just a simple text or simple call back and forth could be so meaningful. Gary, I was hoping we could
Chris,
turn.
Chris, if I may,
Yeah,
Chris.
of course.
One thing that really differentiates AMA to any other river cruise line is that Rudy, Christine, and I are out there meeting with our travel advisor partners. We show up the office every day, and all we do is river cruising. We're not running coach tours. We're not running ocean ships. We're doing river cruising, and we are right at the coalface, making sure everything operates correctly.
And you're talking about the travel advisor community, and I wanted to switch topics for a second to the travel advisors, but overall, not just from AmaWaterways, but just from the leisure travel industry as a whole, how important are travel advisors to the whole overall picture?
Well, I'd be out of business if we didn't have a relationship with travel advisors. I think it's around 95+% is distributed to travel advisors, but that's sort of unique to AMA. It's a partnership, and where the clients are. We work together to find new clients, but it's also ensuring that we meet their expectations, and the travel advisor can speak frankly right to the client and say, this is the right product for you. AMA's not for everybody, but we do have a certain niche that we fill in the river cruising market, and it's important to have that relationship with the travel advisor to ensure the right client is getting on our ships.
We're trying to make sure Gary makes his plane on time today, but Gary, we got a couple questions left before we let you go. And I'm just curious, I'm sure given your vast experience that you've seen some amazing places in this world. What are some of the highlights of places that really stand out to you?
Oh boy, does it have to do with river cruising or?
No, just anywhere in the world.
You know what, I enjoy surfing. Next week I go to the Marshall Islands with my brother. We try to find exotic spots of the world and see if we can surf there. And probably one of the most unique is I did a trip to the Andaman Islands. Actually, it was my 40th birthday, so 23 years ago. And we surfed waves that probably have never been surfed since. We met pygmies. It was just, I love the really exotic, where you're going to destinations where people come out to see you because they don't see Westerners as often. I surfed in Papua New Guinea and these outer islands a couple of years ago. So I just really, on my time, with my brother, it's like a group of 6 guys. We like going exploring different parts of the world and seeing if there's some waves there we can ride.
So where's the next big wave other than the trip you're getting ready for your birthday? Any place that is on that wish list?
Well, you know what? It's the Marshall Islands is very much a discovery trip. We're going to see if where there's surf. I would really like to do the Mentawais out of Indonesia. I've done different islands down there, but that's also my bucket list. But again, I'm going on a river cruise December 1st. I'm going to be taking a vacation on a river cruise next March with my family. So river cruising is very much a wonderful, wonderful experience. My daughters, we were actually going to Bali, and they're complaining about the flying time, and they said, Dad, we should have just taken another river cruise. And I thought, wow, what an endorsement for a river cruise experience for 20-year-olds.
That's pretty amazing. Gary, I hope you don't mind if I hit you with a question that came in on the Q&A, but somebody was curious if by any chance you're going to be adding law enforcement officers to the list of those eligible for the Hero promo in 2023. And I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot with that one.
Law enforcement officers, I thought they were already on for this year, I believe. But for 2023, I don't know what the answer to that question is. But you know what? I'll get back to you and let you know.
Perfect. Again, thank you, Gary. We appreciate that. One last question before we let you go. I'm sure over your time that you've seen certain traits that pop up in winning travel advisors time and time again. Any advice that you could offer as we wrap up today to a potential travel advisor on just little things they could do to be more successful with their business?
Have little anecdotes. You know, the Main-Danube Canal is 106 miles long. When you cross over the Continental Divide, it's 1,133 feet. I don't know a lot about navigation on the rivers, but when you have those little anecdotes, it comes across to your potential client or your client that you know what you're talking about. We have a great training program. It's easy to do. We have these different videos. Just have some further understanding of the places that we're going to, and sell with a smile, believe in what you're doing, and have pride in your work, and you'll be successful.
Gary, is it safe to say, since you're jumping back in to the industry, that you're still pretty excited about the future of leisure travel?
You know what? I'm so excited even about next year. I mean, the last few weeks sales have been very, very strong. People still have a lot of money in their savings and banks accounts, and they want to spend it. Chris, our Christmas markets this year sold better than any other product, and it's about families getting together because they've been detached. Our tulip times are selling really, really well, almost sold out for next year. Yeah, I mean, we do what we do. A lot of people do what they do, not outside the travel business, so they can save up enough money and go experience the world. They want to mark their calendar of their life with exceptional experiences, and travel delivers that, and especially river cruising.
What a perfect exclamation point to wrap up with. Gary Murphy, everyone, co-owner of AmaWaterways, longtime friend to Avoya Travel. Gary, again, we're beyond honored to have you as our featured guest today, and we thank you so much for your time.
All right, Chris, give Jeff a big hug for me and Mike, okay?
I certainly will. Thank you so much. Take care. Next week.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Next week, we're going to be on the road again. Yeah, as we have one more special event before the big 2-year anniversary special. We'll be broadcasting live from the trade show floor of Cruise World in Fort Lauderdale, the last major industry trade show for the year, and we'll provide firsthand insight as well as sourcing a special guest to chat travel with. That'll be next Thursday at our normal time, 11:15 a.m. Pacific, 2:15 p.m. Eastern time, right here live on Facebook, Zoom, and uploaded to the Avoya Network YouTube page. Then in 2 weeks, yes, all the details have been finalized, and we're so excited we'll be live from the club on board the brand new Celebrity Beyond with none other than Donna Ritzenholler, Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service for Celebrity Cruises. We're so excited to celebrate 2 years of On Deck with Avoya and broadcast with you, and we can't wait to be on the brand new Celebrity Beyond. All right, so what else is going on? We still have our military promo. We love veterans, we love military people, and we love their families. And we just think the travel industry is a great way because guess what? Military people travel. They're deployed here, they're deployed there. They go a lot of places, they see a lot of things, and they make great travel advisors. So we're so honored to have our continued veterans discount. We're taking $100 off the affiliation fee. You can reach out to us for more details. Of course, Avoya Network is the best place to go for that. We've got resources. I mean, you heard about those Magellan Awards we won, right? That is not by accident. Avoya Travel has the best-in-class resources. Whether you're a brand new travel advisor, whether you've been in the industry or for a long time looking for a better home, industry-leading solutions, quality you can trust, commitment to innovation. Doesn't that sound amazing? Find out more, just reach out to Avoya Travel. You can always reach out to us at the website at avoyanetwork.com. That is the easiest place to get a hold of us. You can always reach out to me by email. My email is chris.greene@avoyatravel.com. You can pick up the phone and give us a call as well. We love talking travel. We want to connect you with an affiliation specialist to find out more about why Avoya Travel year after year after year percolates as #1 in the industry. Wow, big thank you to Gary Murphy for being our special guest today. A big thank you to my friends in trade marketing, Marissa and Annabella, for doing a wonderful job in just producing our program week after week. and of course, you for being a part of On Deck with Avoya. We'll see you live from Fort Lauderdale next week, 2 weeks on the Celebrity Beyond. And until then, take care, my friend.